What's going on, everyone? We're back with a brand new video, and I need to start off with my disclaimer. Today's video, once again, comes to you from our mobile studio, aka my car. I've been having to say that a lot more lately. The mobile studio is becoming the primary studio lately. So if, once again, you hear any differences in audio, background noise, please attribute it to that. So, with that being said, let's launch into today's video. It's about Mr. Kevin Durant, who, along with his Phoenix Suns team, got unceremoniously bounced out of the first round via a sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, specifically, planted his foot right in their tushies for 4 games. As we are likely with Ant-Man seeing the continued emergence of a budding NBA superstar. But let me say this, because if we're going to give LeBron the business for when these teams that he constructs largely with his hand and his influence, when they flop, then Kevin Durant, you got to get this work too. Because let's look at it. You left Oklahoma City, which, here's the thing, and I've actually written about this. I haven't made a video about this, where people said, here's the thing, we know what happened. The Thunder were up 3-1. They jacked the lead off. Warriors come back and win in the offseason after they got their behinds beat by the Cavaliers. The Warriors put together not an assault team, but a recruiting team to fly out to where KD was and convince him to come to the Warriors. And I'm giving this background for those who may not be familiar with the situation. So he goes there, links up with Wardell, Klay Thompson, Draymond, all those guys. They go to 4. They went to, how many finals did they go to? 3? 4? Went to 3? They won 2 chips. Let's put it like that. My memory's a little fuzzy. KD let the Lamia and the idiots talk him out of a golden situation, and slight pun intended, with the Warriors, in order to go to the, I almost said, I always want to say, that I show my age, I almost want to say, still want to say New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, okay? Now, the thing with the Nets, while I'm not going to give him a pass for that not working out, I will say this, there was a lot of reasons why that situation in Brooklyn, didn't work out as I see it. First of all, they hired the wrong coach. Steve Nash should have not been. He was not the coach for that particular group of guys. Because when you bring in Kyrie Irving, you bring in Kevin Durant and all of those guys, that is a win now move. So when you're in win now mode, you need a experienced coach. And I know some people will say, well, look at the Miami super team with LeBron and those guys. And to an extent, you would be right. However, the difference is, even though Spoelstra was a rookie coach at that time, there was a Pat Riley there to help steer the ship, to help some of those situations. And they didn't have that. They had that piece of trash, Sean Marks. So there was that. So you're already off on the wrong foot with that. As we know, KD didn't play the first year because he tore his Achilles in the finals the year before. Okay, so then he comes back the next season. That is COVID, and everybody, they get their panties in a bunch because apparently my body, my choice does not apply to men, especially a brother, especially one named Kyrie Irving, because somehow him choosing what and what not to put in his body is now being deemed selfish. So he did not play a majority of the season, and that was really weird. I think that might have been the year. I'm trying to think. These years run together. Who beat them? Oh, I can't remember. But they obviously lost at that point. Then, you bring in James Frauden at that time, and and actually plays well, but him and Kyrie, they both got hurt. They lose that series. I believe that was the year they lost to the Bucks. And let me say this, y'all, because it's really time. Can we stop talking about the toe on the line? Okay, I get it. Okay, it doesn't matter at this point. If his toe would have been whatever. Okay, if I can quote the great Cassandra from Wayne's World, and if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass when it hopped. It doesn't matter. Okay, his toe was on the line. They lost. It is what it is. Okay, and then the James Harden obviously comes in for that. He drinks that cup of coffee before quitting his way and forcing his way out of Brooklyn to the Sixers, in which he would force his way out of, not Houston, Philadelphia, which he forced his way out to get to the Clippers. But anyway, obviously then he exercises his pull and gets the trade to Phoenix to be paired with Devin Booker and those guys, and obviously they flame out in the playoffs the first year. They get Bradley Beal. They build another super team, and actually he's hurt for a lot of the year. And so again, they fall flat on their face in the playoffs, and they got exposed once again. And so it's time to give Kevin Durant, some rightly deserved criticism. For all of the talk of the skill and all this, in which he can score the basketball. And this is coming from a guy who likes Kevin Durant a whole lot. And for all the talk, look what he would do in the 90s. We got a little taste of that in that Boston series where they let him play a hint of physical defense, and it all but neutralized Kevin Durant. But we have to start looking at this and offer some righteous criticism, because you have continuously forced your way or left teams to go to other perceived super teams, and it has not worked over and over and over again. And we have, when did he leave? We have a half decade to look at of evidence and proof of this, and you got to get some criticism, because are you really that guy? And I don't think you are that guy. I think you are a tremendously talented basketball player, but in terms of being looked at in the upper echelon of the pantheon of all-time greats, I can't put you there. I cannot put you there, because we have too much evidence. There's too much data of you not being able to be the driving force behind pushing a team that is primarily built around you to the mountaintop. We thought we were on the verge of potentially seeing it in Oklahoma City, but we obviously know how that didn't happen. And really, and I'm just going to wrap this up, it speaks to a lot of the issues with a lot of the current, with the NBA as we has come to know it, where in previous eras you would have guys, you would come to a team and you would see a progression. They would stink for a while. They would, maybe get to a 6th, 7th, 8th seed, and they show they weren't ready, and they would keep building and building. And eventually they would get over the hump, win maybe a championship or whatever, and go from there. And you see that over and over again. But now these guys, they don't want to take that shortcut, because unfortunately now ring culture is everything. In that if you don't win for 2 or 3 years with a team, the thought process is, well, you need to trade everybody, strip it down to the studs, and do it all over again, because these guys aren't that good. There's no patience. Teams don't understand how to play the long game anymore. And these guys aren't averse now to taking these types of shortcuts and not realizing that losing is a part of winning. I go back to that interview, that conversation that Michael Jordan had with Stephen Curry, and he was talking about that. He said you have to learn how to lose in order to win, because in losing, it teaches you what you need to do. It teaches you where you need to get better, what to do in certain situations and what not to do in certain situations. And by you skipping that and just jumping to a situation where you can kind of gravy train your way to rings, you lose that. So when those points come, when those times of adversity come, you don't know what to do because you have skipped the pain of those situations. And it's bearing itself out now with Kevin Durant. We've seen it with other guys. We've seen it with LeBron and some of these guys that skip those steps. That's one of the reasons when we still, even now, talk about the championship that Dirk Nowitzki won with the Dallas Mavericks in 2011. Not merely because that team beat the Heatles, but here was a guy who went through the fire, went through the ups and downs, the losing in the first round to an eighth seed, all of those various things. You stick it out, you learn those lessons, and you're able to triumph in the end. The same thing with Giannis. They were trying to say, hey, you need to go to the Lakers. You need to go to the Warriors because it's not going to work here in Milwaukee. They can't win here. You need to go to a quote-unquote big market. And we see that he not only stayed, but was able to lead that team to a championship. And no matter how much the media tries to look over that championship like it didn't happen, a lot of us, the real basketball fans, look at that title in higher regards than we do some of these titles that are coming from these assembled Lego super teams. The same thing with Denver. And they act like that championship never even happened. We spent more time talking about the Lakers in the offseason than we did that particular team. Looking at Jokic, that was a team that was largely drafted. Those of you who don't know, when he was initially drafted, he was backing up Yusuf Nurkic, and he played so well he made Nurk expendable. That's the reason why Nurk was in Portland. And so we look at those when we look back at championships and we look back at great players. Those are the things that we look at. Those players that were able to overcome those obstacles, because it does make it sweeter in the end when those guys and those teams finally overcome. And when you take those shortcuts, you cheat the system, and the fans don't look at it the same way. And I'm going to start to land my plane here. And I would say Kevin Durant at some level thinks that too, because I've heard him say in interviews that it didn't feel the way he thought it would. And this is partly speculation, observation on my part. But I think because not only the perception was that, well, you jumped on a team that had some great players, a team that, let me back up, an organization, I should say, that was able to put together a team that won 73 games the year before. He did not join a 73-win team, as that roster was over 50% different. So it was not the same team. So let's not say that, but I get what people are saying. So because of that, you hopped on a thing that was hot. Those guys, Curry and Thompson and even Draymond, they had went through and suffered through that, the ascension. So there were certain lessons that they understood. But because he didn't get that, and then when you win, it doesn't feel the same because you didn't go through that. You didn't go through that fire. And so, in looking back, this is one of the reasons you see that with Kevin Durant, that for all of his talent, for all of his prodigious skills that he has, it's not really amounting to anything He's not a leader of men, as it turns out. So, with that being said, I really went on about that longer than I intended. But let me know, what do you think about this latest playoff failure for one Mr. Kevin Durant? What do you think of what I had to say? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I just hating, as y'all like to say, when anybody offers criticism of a player someone likes? Let us know in the comment section. And as always, we will be back with more videos real soon. Take care. And as I always like to say, tell the ones that you love them. Peace.